Okay, I'm going to chat to you about your wee homework here. So 1A, he stops for a break at a service station. When did he stop? So that's him stopping there when it's a straight line. So you tell me what time he stopped at. That was when he stopped. How long did he stop for? Now each big box is 1 hour. So he stops for half of that. Okay. Part B. He met heavy traffic on one part of the trip. How long was this for? That meant he'll be going a lot slower, so I would say it's between here and here. So that's between half 1 and, if you look very carefully, half 2. So it says how long was that for? Part 2. How far did he travel? So between here, which is at 170, up to here, which is at 190. So how far was that? Part C. What time did he arrive in Stockport at? So this is him arriving here. So if you go down to see what time that is. I'll not be too particular if you're a wee bit out there, okay? As long as you're roughly in around the right figures, I'd be happy enough. And part D. How long was he there for? So again, it's say half of that box and half of that box, so altogether, again, I'll not be too particular if you're a wee bit out. Part E. How far is Stockport from London? So that's just your distance, 190. For part 2, he does, I just want to show you this one for part 2. He does 190 miles, and that takes him 3 hours. So basically, how far does he go in 1 hour? So you're going to divide that by 3 to see how far he goes in 1 hour, okay? And when you're doing that, could you put your answers in miles per hour? Okay, miles per hour. Now, next one, number 2. You're going to try to draw the graph, so I want to help you here in this one. Number 2, if I put my book under here, hopefully you'll see it. A ferry leaves at 9 o'clock and it sails 100 kilometres. So when you're doing this, put your wee axes in. And this is quite a tricky wee one, to be fair. And we'll go up the side here in tens. Sorry. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, and that's your distance, and that's kilometres. Along the side, I would like you to start at 9, and we'll go up in half hours. So 9:30, 10, 10:30, oops, sorry, 11, 11:30 is quite hard getting fit it in, 12, 12:30, 1 p.m, 1:30, 2 p.m, so if you can get yours in probably a bit neater than mine, 2:30, 3 p.m. Okay, so a ferry leaves at 9, sails 100 kilometres and arrives at 2. So go across 2 and up to 100 kilometres and just join that up. When you join that up, I'd like you to write beside it ferry. If you've got a different colour, that would be super. At 10:30, a speedboat leaves and travels to Burnley, and it takes 40 kilometres per hour, so that's much harder. So the distance is 100. The speed is 40 kilometres in 1 hour. So in 2 hours, they'll have done 80 kilometres. But you need to have 100 kilometres. You need an extra 20 kilometres. Well, 40 kilometres takes half an hour. An extra 20 kilometres is going to take a half an hour. So altogether, 100 kilometres is 2.5 hours. So if he leaves at 10:30 and you add 2.5 hours, he arrives at 1 p.m. So that's quite hard. So 1 p.m. up to the 100 is the same distance. And join them up. And could you write beside that speedboat? Now, that's our graph done. Now I've got to answer a few wee questions, okay? So part A, was the speed of the ferry? Well, the ferry took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. So it took 5 hours to go a distance of 100 kilometres. Now, speed is always measured in how far you go in 1 hour. So in 1 hour, if you divide by 5, it's 20 kilometres. So its speed is 20 kilometres per hour. Part B, the speed. So that was part B. Part C, at what time did the speedboat arrive? We have that worked out, 1 p.m. Part D, when did they meet? They meet here at 12 o'clock. So hopefully your answers will be the same as me. And E, how far apart were they at 11? So 11, the ferry was 40 away, the speedboat was 20, so you're trying to find the difference there. It's quite a tricky wee question. I'd be interested to see how you get on with that one. Now, over the page isn't as bad, you'd be glad to know. So the first one, what is the difference between the initial price? So if you look there, the initial price was about 170, I think. And the final price. The final price is over here. It looks about 260. So what's the difference between 170 and 260? Part B. When was it increasing? It increased between 0 and 2 days. So between day 0 to day 2. And then it increased between day 4 and day 7. So you have 2 answers there. Part C. When was the best time to buy them? On day 4, because that's when they were the cheapest. Part D. When was the best time to sell them? On day 7, when they were at the highest price. And what's Peter saying? The share price halved between the second and 4th day. Well, on day 2 it was 200, on day 4 it was 100, so it was true. Question 4. What do we think's happening here? Look. It's going up quite fast, and then it goes a lot slower. So I think this one, like that would fill up quite fast and then go slower, wouldn't it? So I think 4 goes with B.